fix my chat. And I really struggled to get myself in the mood to do this one today. And I've really been enjoying these garden pictures, so I think that's what we're gonna do. I don't know which one yet. So that one is really pretty. Let's see. I'm not in the mood to do sunflowers today. So let's see. Poppies are always a good bet. Let's see. I think I'm going to lift that up. Let's see. I am indecisive is what I think. We got the farms. That one's a maybe. Not her. Obviously, we've already done her, but not quite sure what's up with that rabbit, but let's see. Oh, I think I found my winner. Something nice and pretty and lots of bright colors. So, we have a winner. So I think I might look one more time just to make sure I didn't miss anybody that I really, really like. Because I know there's quite a few that I've been wanting to do. As I said, I'm not in the mood to do a ton of... You know what? I have changed my mind. We are going to do this one. I really like that one. And there's so many opportunities for color. And I like the fact that this one is more of an evening picture than a daytime picture. Hello, Shadow Riker. How we doing today? I am going to sound a little crazy just for a second because I forgot to take my sweatshirt off. And I'm sitting right in front of the heater and I am getting cooked. There we go. Hello, Rosie Delgado as well. How we doing? So let's see. I think I want to start on this water, which such a pretty, almost has an Asian feel to it, which I really enjoy. I was thinking about trying to do the reflection of the moon on here, but I can't draw. I can color really, really well, but I cannot draw well enough to do a distorted moon like that. This bridge is missing some pieces, but we're not going to fuss about that too much. As I've said many, many times, this is it is an AI coloring book. So there's always going to be little pieces that don't quite look like they're supposed to look. But I still think my absolute favorite little AI oops in this book is this poor little unicorn here. Because he's got some issues. But it happens. And I spent like $1 and change on this book. So we're not fussing too much on that. And you can hear my birds weighing in on opinions. Sounded like they called me cheap, but that's all right. And you may also hear the one cricket that escaped my bearded dragon's enclosure that we can't find and catch, that is driving me absolutely bonkers. Once I get him caught, he will absolutely be fed to my dragon, because that's what happens when you drive me bonkers for like a week straight. There we go. And my dog is barking in his dreams. He does that quite a bit too. We just let him dream unless he starts sounding really pitiful or starts growling or anything. Then we'll wake him up gently. I appreciate all the love I'm seeing popping up there. I kind of like the fact that this one is different from pretty much anything I've done in the past as far as photos to be colored, or pictures to be colored. It does make me kind of want to look for more along this line. Excuse me. I'm trying very, very hard to go today with no cold medicine in my system, because after a while it starts to really bother my stomach. So if I sound a little off, that is why. I've been fighting this cold for long enough that I kind of have to take a break from the medicine for a little while. There we go. And I'm not trying to go too dark on these trees. I don't want them to be taking over the picture or anything. Hello, Koala Sing Songs. How are we doing today? Now, we'll take our bridge that isn't here. Yes, I will be cracking jokes about this. I do appreciate that. Now, I did not draw this. I don't think any actual person drew this. It is AI. But I enjoy the coloring side of things, which is why I am calling this the bridge that isn't, because it's kind of missing a few pieces to be an actual bridge. Unless it's a balance beam bridge. I guess that could be a thing. Thank you for that. If I could draw, I would absolutely be doing that on lives instead of coloring or along with, but that's okay. Everybody has their strengths and their weaknesses, and I know mine, and I'm not upset by them at all. Let's see. I'm a big fan of celebrate your skills, acknowledge the things that aren't, and enjoy life. Let's see. Maybe one of these days I'll be able to convince my brothers. Both of my brothers can actually draw. One can draw insanely well. But maybe I can get them to do some artwork for me to color on here for you guys. That's one I'm not going to actually volunteer them for. They would have to agree to it. But for the time being, I will continue to pick up coloring books where I find them and enjoy it that way. We are going to have a lot of different greens on here. My Q&A sticker suggestions are back, and I will not make that mistake again. I tried to turn an entire coloring session into a Q&A session, which was kind of funny because then I couldn't figure out how to turn it off, but we're not going to do that again. Maybe if I hit 1,000 followers, because I'm getting closer and closer, I might do a Q&A session, like, genuinely, and kind of combine all of the different branches of my channel into one for a day. Let people ask questions about the critters, the coloring, the artwork, my weird obsession and love of concrete. I pulled this green out, sharpened a completely different color, and forgot that I had this out. I am special today. In my defense, it has been a very, very busy day. Because one of the things we don't really talk too much about on my channel is I do care for my mother-in-law. And today was a cleaning day for her. I don't usually do bath and bedding and everything on the same day, but it worked out that way. So it's been a little hectic, but she is comfortably conked out, snoozing in a clean room with everything all done. And it's a little bit tiring for me because there's a lot of working parts there. Excuse me. Hello, Carolyn Plaxkin? I do apologize. I'm not the best at pronunciations to begin with. And my brain just did not want to compute on that one. Now, this is not my artwork. I don't even try to claim it. It is a coloring book. But I do enjoy the coloring side of things. And I've actually been coloring in this book quite a bit lately. Because we are midwinter, it's cold, it's gross. And bright and colorful, cheerful gardens just make it so much better. I will never be a winter person. The one and only reason for me to enjoy winter a little bit is I like the excuse to show off pretty coats. I am that person who always has to go for the showpiece coat. If I have to be cold and I have to have extra layers on, actually, believe it or not, a rotten banana peel is very hard to recreate in colors. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. My ability depends on the day. Some days I can do amazing things, other days not so much. But it's an enjoyable hobby, and I've found people seem to enjoy when I share it with them. So I'm definitely not complaining. I get the excuse to do something that you get told is super childish. Live online and with other people who actually can appreciate and enjoy it. I go a little extra with me in my multiple shades of green, though. I feel like anything should have layers of color. It shouldn't all be one boring little bit of color. I am actually going to, just since I missed that little bit, I'm not sure if those are supposed to be flowers or leaves. And this is where, when you do like I did and you buy the cheap AI book, this is what you have to deal with. You have to kind of accept that there's going to be sections that you don't really know what you're looking at. It is what it is. I'm going to call these leaves. And color them in with this pretty green here. I can tell the thing above them is a flower, but we're going to call these plants and just make them green. I could be wrong, but, well, I bought the cheap AI book that I spent like $3 on. Actually, I think I spent like $1.50 on this thing. This one and my Fairy Gardens one are Temu finds that were nice and cheap and easy to get hold of. So, I'm not fussing. I cannot draw. But I don't know, I like both rats and dogs, so that could work out. Even if you're going to do it badly, if you do it with enough intent, you can kind of get away with it. But I mean, art in general is subjective. There is a guy that made millions of dollars by duct taping a banana to a wall. So, you never know. There's always somebody who's going to like the art if you take the time to make it. You always have a lot of people that don't like the art if you even as well, but I think we're going to make this clump of flowers the same color just because I cannot differentiate between. We're going to do this at least once every live. It's got to happen. That one actually didn't even break evenly. It like went at an angle. But that's one of those things. If you've been in my lives before, you've heard me say it before. You can be upset or you can laugh it off. Seriously, if you get too upset over a broken pencil, we have a problem. There we go. I don't draw. Now, if you need something to look hand-drawn, and you have a good coloring page, one of my favorite tricks that I do actually in my yard art and in my interior decor, it wouldn't work in this case because they're double printed, but it's like this has the picture on one side and the plain back on the other. What you can do is take just a regular graphite pencil, turn the entire back of your picture black with that graphite pencil, and then just sit and trace. You can actually move the picture onto something else, and it works really, really well, actually. I've done that a time or two, and me and this pencil are going to fight. I think I'm done with this pencil, because once again, this is not where that belongs. I've done that for a few pieces here and there. I do not claim to have drawn them in those cases, but since that isn't one of my skills, but I can trace really, really well. It does work out well for me. Um, I've done, if you look through my long form videos, I have I have a series where I did a cutting board, and I used that on there. I think I've used it a few times, but that's the one that comes to mind for me. I stick to one page per live because I don't have hours on end that I can be online. I have a lot going on in my house on any given day, and managing to keep everything reasonably under control for a half an hour to an hour is about as much as I can promise. Um, so we do one page, and I stay on however long it takes me to do the one page. And I'm over here talking with my hands behind the camera because that makes sense. Oh, sometimes habits are fun. I love a good orange for flowers and things like that. Just anything nice and bright and cheerful. I'm also a very big fan of this specific pink. This is what they call bubblegum pink, which, there we go, you can kind of read it. And it is the perfect light pink shade for flowers especially. Bubbles, lay down. You're fine. Something woke up my dog. And he has opinions because he wants to come get attentions from me, but because he is an extremely large dog, uh, he does have to be crated while I'm working on stuff like this. He is a Mastiff mix. You can absolutely try and draw if you're while you're watching my live. I don't. Oh, I don't do like uh, multiple people at the same time actually in the live, but you can always. People are always welcome to do whatever that is they feel like doing while I'm background noise. I don't think I want this particular orange right now, but so I mean, there's that. Actually, I do want that orange. There was a reason behind that. There we go. I had forgotten I had these two big ones up top that I wanted in a very soft orange tone. So they're almost like they're almost separate from the rest of the picture, just each one in a corner like that. Here we go. Now that I cannot help you with. I'm not 100% certain that I'm actually even in the same country as you, so I definitely can't help you find your stuff. I know I had more. That's a different green, I think. Actually, yeah, I do want this guy. I am indecisive. It's part of who I am. I will sit and hem and haw over the shades that I want to use for different things. Didn't realize I grabbed the same green I used for that, but It's a neat trick you can do with colored pencils that I'll do here in just a second to where that's not quite so monochrome. Because that is not the goal. I do love the clouds back here and behind the mountain. I think I have a silver colored pencil somewhere that we can use for that. The fun part is trying to figure out, is it cloud or is it tree? I think these guys are a little bit of a different feel, so we're going to call them tree. And then we're going to come in, and we're just going to go with a little bit more pressure here so that this guy doesn't blend in quite so hard with the trees behind him. There we go. Makes a difference, doesn't it? Now he stands out just a little bit. I am getting a little bit tired of green. I think this is going to be my last chunk of green for the moment, is the trees here. There are so many other colors. And I still have to finish out my flowers, but these guys being just unfinished over here was bugging me. I don't know why it is, I tend to end up working my pictures from the bottom up. And getting the bigger details that are more focal points done a lot of times last. And that's just, I usually end up picking one thing. And I focus on that, and then I work from that. Like in this case, it was the water. And I kind of went out and up from the water. I don't know how I got quite so sidetracked from my flowers, but stuff happens. I'm glad to hear that you found your book. Let's see. So I'm just kind of filling in the white spots over here with this nice deep kind of red tone. There we go. Now I just have to do those guys, and shock of all shocks, if you know me at all, I'm making them blue. Blue is my favorite color, and there has to be a good-sized chunk of it somewhere in every picture I color. It's just part of who I am. There we go. My pets are losing patience with the process. But we're actually making pretty good progress. I've gotten this much done, and I'm just now almost to the 30-minute mark. So sometimes I look up and I'm like well past that point. And that is my minimum amount of time I like to spend. I think it's only fair. Back to the green because I missed a spot. And that's why I keep my pencils out. Let's see. And this is kind of a nice little mountainy looking area here. Kind of looks like a cliff almost. Loki. Loki apparently woke up from his nap quite unhappy. And sounds like my amazing other half is going to take him out and let him wander a little bit. He does not like when he's not allowed to interact and cause mischief. It's part of who he is. There we go. So I am steadily working my way up to the top here. We're going to use this taupey color for this mountain back here as well. I'm a huge fan of, and you hear me say this a lot if you're in my lives any length of time, the ability to use one color and make it have so many different tones depending on just how hard you push on your pencil. Which is how this, and these are all the same actual color, even though it gives it a very different look. Let's see. Okay, I do. So we're going to have a little fun with those clouds. I'm going to color them first, which means my silver actually needs sharpened. Which one do I like better? I promise I'm not nuts. There is actually a difference between the two gray silvers. One has a little bit more shimmer, and that's the one I want. Excuse me. We're going to go just really light. And I say this when I'm doing backgrounds quite a bit. We actually just almost want a hint or a suggestion of color. We don't need it to be super dark or anything. We just want to differentiate it from the sky around it more than anything. That wasn't intentional, but it kind of worked out. And now we're going to have a little fun. And all this is going to do is just add a little extra bit of shimmer in the clouds. Like, now I'm not going to do every single line, and I'm not super crazy worried about doing perfection. It's not meant to overshadow the rest of the picture, just add a little bit of extra fun depth. And you can kind of see it just makes it look a little bit more, we're quite literally giving them their silver lining, I guess you could say. We're going to do something similar with the moon as well, so. We may actually with some of this. And the reason I've been putting this off is because I have not decided what color to make it yet. So we're just going to color the moon in. And we're going to do this in a couple of different layers. Just a straight up gold. And we're going to go back over that with probably a dark, dark yellow. So we're not trying to make it look like the sun is about to go supernova on us or anything. Hi, Loki. In case you're wondering, when I say he is a big dog, this is Loki right here. Hi, Bubba's. I actually got you guys back on my table pretty decently neatly. It's the second day in a row that Loki has gotten to do a little cameo on my live. He's not spoiled at all, really. There we go. And now... And this is one, it doesn't need to be perfect. I am trying to kind of go around the birds a little bit, even though the birds are probably just going to be a dark gray. There we go. And we're going to use that very lightly. Once again, we're going to do that whole suggestion of color thing. And basically the trick with that is just barely touching the paper with the pencil. And then in this case, we're just outlining the moon. There we go. A little bit more shimmer. Where did my gray go? I know I had one right here. There we go. It's kind of neat that they actually took the time to put the birds in front of the moon. There we go. Now for the hard part. Well, I don't know if it's the hard part, but it's the part I've been putting off. The only part I've put off at this point in time. Which I am going to start by just making this kind of deep red. We'll do this part as well. I don't have an actual like color like clay tiles would be, but the dark red is probably close enough to get the point across. There we go. And this is one that does not have to be perfect because it is kind of in the distance. I missed one. I actually want that as well. I'm not sure what that's supposed to be, but we're going to call it another little roof. There we go. Get these kind of brown details in. There we go. I am still debating what color to make the rest of it, which is why we have just the brown going on at the moment. We're not going to go crazy with color because I don't think that really fits for this, but we do want it to at least I'm not sure who Trim is, but hello, how are we doing? There we go. I'm not sure if that is a person you were talking about, or are you talking to me specifically? Or are you a bot that I'm asking questions that I will never get answered? It's always a good question. There we go. Finally found a color that kind of works for a few different things. I'll do this for yours. And I think instead of driving myself absolutely nuts, I am going to go ahead and stop there. We're going to put our little suggestion of a deep blue in the background. Let me see if I have one a little darker than this. Actually, I think we're going to use the same blue that I used for the water to do that. So I am assuming at this point that that is a bot, because we have not gotten any kind of response. And I did notice some leaves that I missed, or some clouds, I'm not sure which. Fix that real quick. We're going to call them leaves. And just bring that up there. And I think I'm actually pretty satisfied with how this turned out. So I am going to go ahead and stop there. And I will try and pop on again tomorrow. So until then, I'll talk to you guys next time.